we did a video like this for the Boston Celtics, and then they ended up winning the NBA Finals, becoming the NBA champions for this season. So it's only right that we do the same. A jersey number countdown for the Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. And I should get right into this one because while this franchise hasn't been around as long as the Celtics have, it has nowhere near as many retired numbers. There were actually more numbers that were in use. I think with hockey it's more normal, I guess, to see players use a wider range of numbers, especially those numbers higher up in the 70s and 80s and 90s that aren't used as often in basketball. So today, in case you don't know what's going on here, we're doing an ASMR countdown, counting down the Florida Panthers sweater numbers and naming the Florida Panthers player who's worn each number and played the most games with the team. You'll see what I mean. And with today's countdown, we're actually starting at number 98. So 99 belongs to the great one. It was never used in the Panthers organization. So 98, Maxim Mammon, 73 games. 97, Esa Tikkanen, 28 games. 96, one of the few numbers that were never actually used for the Panthers. 95, Henrik Borgstrom, 58 games. 94, Ryan Lomberg, 246 games, and counting. Also, as part of this video, we should name the current Stanley Cup champs who wear each number. 93 was never used, although it is retired by the Panthers for Bill Torrey, a former GM. 92, Kyle Rao, 33 games. 91, Anthony Duclair, 137 games. He did change his number though. He did change his number during his time in Florida, and it's currently worn by Oliver Ekman Larson. 90, Jared McCann, 143 games. 89, never worn. 88, Jamie McGinn, 95 games. 87, 85. Rostislav Oles, 349 games. 84 was never used. 83. Juho Lemico played 84 games, and he's also worn number 91. 82. Tomasz Kopecky, 240 games. It's currently worn by Kevin Stenlund. 81. Jonathan Marchessault. I should say Jonathan Marchessault. 74 games. It's this weird thing where you're used to hearing the name spoken in English. And so I always sort of think of it as Jonathan Marchessault, even though I'm also French. Anthony Duclair being another one. Where were we? Number 80. Never used. 79. Cole Schwind, 3 games. Number 78. Maxime Mamin, who also wore 98, and he actually wore 98 for most of his time with the Panthers. 77. Frank Vetrano, 271 games. He also wore number 72, but 77 is currently worn by Nico Mikola. 76. Anton Levchi and Eric Salick are tied at 2 games apiece, which I think is the lowest number we'll find on today's countdown. 75. Scott Timmins, 24 games. 74 is Owen Tippett, 94 games. It's currently worn by Rasmus Asplund. 73. Brandon Peary, 122 games. Now 72, it's a fun one. So, technically, Frank Vetrano played the most games with the Panthers out of everyone who's worn number 72. But I think that Alexander Petrovich wore the number for more games than Vetrano. He wore it for 254 games. And then, not to be outdone, you've got Sergei Bobrovsky, who has played 243 games. And he is 35, but presumably he will keep going. He's on contract for another couple of years. I always think with these older guys, like, I want to see them retire on top. But this is a Stanley Cup winner. So I'm assuming he'll keep at least play out his contract fact, maybe try to go into in all the way to 40, around there. 71, Kendall McArdle, 33 games. 70, Patrick Hornquist, 131 games. 69, never used. 68 was Yager, 181 games with the Panthers. 67, Michael Frolik, 213 games, and it's currently worn by William Lockwood. 66 was never used, which I think is more rare for a double number, you know what I mean? But 66 never used. 65, Victor Oriskovich, 50 games. 64, Stefan Meyer, 4 games. 63 is Dadanov, 280 games. 62, Brandon Montour, 239 games and counting. 61, Corey Tillman, 165 games. His son Riley also wore number 61 with the Panthers. I think they missed each other by like 10 years. So no LeBron situation. 60, Jose Theodore, 68 games. 59, never worn. 58, Noah Juleson, 4 games. 57, Marcel Gotch, 161 games. 56, Mike Matheson, 299 games, although he has worn a few numbers with the Panthers. 55, Ed Jovanovski, 362 games. 54, Camille Krebs, 232 games. 53, Brett McLean, 143 games. 147. 52, Mackenzie Weegar, 306 games. 51, Brian Campbell, 376 games. And number 50, we have Drew Shore, 67 games. 49, 327 games, although most of those were under a different number. But this is a fun fact for me. He was one of 3 players to wear number 48 with the Panthers in the year 2000. 47 brings us back to Lance Ward, who wore number 49. 46, Jakob Kindle, 58 games. 45, Brad Parents, 167 games. 44, Rob Niedermeyer, 518 games. It's currently worn by Mike Benning. Big shoes to fill. 43, Mike Weaver, 246 games. 42, Gustav Forsling, 275 games. 41, Sean Matthias, 312 games. It's currently worn. By Anthony Stolarz. I'm always, like, you guys know, I have allergies, and so when I cough, and then I go back to ASMR voice, I never know how my voice is gonna come out. Number 40, Steve Washburn, 81 games. Okay, I have to give a special shout out to Giannis Sprucks for having maybe the most trigger-worthy name in the history of the Panthers. Sprucks. 39, Ivan Novoseltev, 217 games. 38, Eric Baudouin, 53 games. And our boy Sprucks also wore number 38. 37, Trevor Kidd, 103 games. Nowadays, the numbers retired for Wayne Wisenga, who was the founder of the Panthers. 36 is Jussi Jokinen, 231 games. It's currently worn by Patrick Giles. 35, Al Montoya, 45 games. It's currently worn by Magnus for John Van Beesbrook, 268 games. 33. Willie Mitchell, 112 games. 32. Chris Versteeg, 99 games, just short of 100. 31. Sean Burke, 66 games. 30. Scott Clemenson, 120 games. He only played one game more than Mark Fitzpatrick, who also wore the 30 jersey, and it's currently worn by Spencer Knight. 29. Johan Karpenlov, 265 games. 28. Peter Worrell, 342 games. He played his first couple of years with number 28, and it's currently worn by Josh Mahura. 27. Scott Millanby, 552 games. It's currently worn by E2 Lurs. Let me focus on this one. Lurstarinen. That's as close as we'll get. 26. Mike Van Ryn, 257 games. It's currently worn by Uvis Balinskis. 25. Victor Kozlov, 414 games, and it's currently worn by Maggie Samoskevich. 24. Robert Svela, 573 games, and it's currently worn by Nick Cousins. 20. Brian Scrudland, 256 games. Number 19. Radek Dvorak, 613 games, and about half of those were in the number 19. This number is currently worn by Matthew Kachuk. 18. Marcus Nilsson, who we mentioned earlier. And actually, Sean Matthias, who we also mentioned at 41, also wore this number. So 18 could be a good number for a long career. With the Panthers, it's currently worn by Stephen Lawrence. Now 17 than any other players it's been worn, than any other numbers. We've already counted down like 83 numbers. This is where the mind starts to... So, number 17 has been worn by 18 different players. Derek McKenzie has held it for the most amount of games, 304 games, and it's currently used by Evan Rodriguez. 16. Alexander Barkov, 737 games and counting. He holds the record for most games with the Panthers. So special that he got to win the cup with the team as well. Number 15, Anton Lundell, 216 games and counting. Then at 14, we have Radek Dvorak of number 19 fame. 13, Mark Pissick, 292 games. It's currently worn by Sam Reinhardt. Number 12, Ollie Jokinen, no relation to Yossi, 567 games, and it's currently worn by Jonah Gajovic. I said that right. 11, Jonathan Jonathan Huberdeau, 671 games. 10, David Booth, 309 games. It's currently worn by Vladimir Tarasenko. Number 9, Stephen Weiss, 654 games, currently worn by Sam Bennett. 8 is Peter Worrell, who also wore number 28, and it's currently used by Kyle Okposo. Number 7, Dmitry Kulikov, 536 games and counting. Number 6, Alexander Petrovich. A little cat cameo there, I don't know if you could hear it. Alexander Petrovich played 254 games. 5, Aaron Ekblad, 676 games and counting. Another just legend of the team. Number 4, Jay Bomeister, 471 games. Number 3, Paul Laus, 530 games. It's currently worn by Matt Kierstead. Number 2, Wagner, 279 games. It's currently worn by Tobias Bjornfot. And number 1. This is the player that I think I associate most with the Panthers. Like, if you ask me to name a Panthers player, past or present, this is the first one that would come out of my mouth. And it is Roberto Luongo. 572 games, and the number is retired in his honor. So 3 numbers retired by the Panthers, but only one of them is retired for a player, and that is number 1 for Luongo. Yeah, Luongo. My notes auto-corrected it to Longo. But guys, that has been the Florida Panthers countdown. Congratulations to any Panthers fans out there. I know we have a few Lightning fans in the chat, so I hope it wasn't too hard seeing the other guys win this one. Let me know what you guys thought of the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Let me know what you thought about these names and their ASMR-iness. But I'm gonna leave this here. I'll be back this week. We've got a Euro check-in. We have to see how our predictions are going. And then we've got the NBA draft. It's a really exciting time for sports. So I'll see you very soon in the next video.